morning, girls. Mrs. Shriver here. I have a book for you. This one is titled Charlie Takes His Shot. And as you can tell, it's about a golfer. The author of this book was Nancy Churnin, and the pictures were drawn by Joven. Here we go. Charlie positioned the golf club. Someone was coming. If anyone saw him, he'd be in trouble. He pulled back the club and swung. Then he ran to hide. Charlie's ball soared pretty as a bird, piercing this blue sky at dusk. It wasn't the shot he wanted. He didn't have time for the shot he wanted. But he grinned as his ball dove and raced on the green, skidding close to the hole. From the moment he grasped a club, Charlie knew he was born to play. It wasn't long before he could strike the ball farther and truer than anyone on the course near his home in Charlotte, North Carolina. But it was the 1930s, and only white people were allowed to compete on the private greens. So Charlie became a caddy. He lugged heavy golf bags of clubs while he dreamed of the day he could show off his shots for everyone to see. He studied how players gripped their clubs and when they straightened and bent their legs and elbows. When Charlie grew older, all that practice helped him win the tournaments black players organized for themselves on public courses. Charlie wanted his shot at Professional Golfers Association of America tournaments too. But those tournaments were held in private clubs that only allowed white players. No one would give him a chance to play. Then in 1947, he watched Jackie Robinson become the first black player in Major League Baseball. Fans taunted Jackie and told him to go back to the cotton fields. One of his teammates switched teams to avoid playing with him. But Jackie didn't quit or lose his temper. Quietly yet powerfully, he helped his team win by out-hitting and outrunning every opponent. Within a year, Jackie's teammates and fans of every race cheered for him. Could Charlie do the same for golf? In 1948, over a round of golf, Charlie got a chance to ask Jackie Robinson himself. The baseball star thought about the question. "It's going to be awfully tough, Charlie," Jackie finally said. He was right. On the golf courses where PGA tournaments were played, the players were white, the fans were white, and the sponsors were white. Only the caddies were black. Jackie's teammates came around when he proved his talent. But Charlie wouldn't have teammates. Golf is a one person against another. Jackie warned Charlie that people would threaten him and would call him ugly names. Charlie clenched his fist around his club. He wasn't sure if he could stand that. But Charlie told him if he stayed calm, didn't give up, he could open the door for others. "Nobody can do it but you," Jackie said. Long after Jackie left, Charlie thought about his words. It was going to be tough, but if nobody could do it but Charlie, then Charlie was going to have to do it. He put all of his efforts into golfing, driving from New York to California and several states in between for tournaments. He became a pro, which meant that he was committed to earning his living from golf, even if some years he didn't earn much at all. He won the National Negro Open so many times, they told him to just keep the trophy. In 1957, he won $2,000 in a tournament, enough money to help him buy a house. But no matter how well Charlie played, he couldn't get his chance at the big PGA tournaments. That's because the PGA had a Caucasian only clause in their constitution, which said their members had to be white. America was slowly tearing down the walls that kept people apart. Jackie broke the color barrier in Major League Baseball in 1947. Earl Lloyd did the same for the National Basketball Association in 1950. A Supreme Court decision led to the integration of public schools in 1954. But in 1959, the Caucasian only clause remained in golf, and Charlie couldn't figure out a way to change it. One day, he picked up the New York Post and read a powerful column about how the PGA should let Charlie play. It was written by Jackie Robinson. People started buzzing about what Jackie said. Suddenly, Charlie felt hopeful. In the fall of 1959, Charlie played a man who wasn't a good golfer, but Stanley Mosk was a good lawyer and a good man. They were playing at the Hillcrest Country Club in Los Angeles, where Jewish golfers like Stanley had built their own club years ago when they hadn't been welcomed elsewhere. Stanley whistled at Charlie's shots as they flew, skittered, and sank into cups. He asked Charlie why one of the best golfers he'd ever seen wasn't playing on the PGA Tour. Because of this Caucasian clause in their constitution, Charlie told him. You mean to tell me they actually have that written down as a rule? Stanley, who was not only a lawyer, but the Attorney General of California, couldn't believe how unfair that was. He promised Charlie he'd fight for his right to play. It took 2 years of letters and arguments with the PGA, but Stanley's efforts got the Caucasian only clause removed in 1961. Charlie became the first black player on the PGA Tour. That's a copy of his PGA Tour card. Still, Charlie's battles weren't over. Hotels where other players stayed wouldn't rent him a room. Clubs where the tournaments were held wouldn't let him eat with other players, change in their locker rooms, or use their bathrooms. Once a stranger called him and said, "You'd better not bring yourself out to our golf course if you know what's good for you." Another time, when he went to putt his ball, someone kicked it far away. Charlie kept going. He practiced his swing. He studied courses to figure out the right club and angle for each shot. He tried to close his ears to the jeers of people who didn't want him there. Then, 6 years after Charlie had joined the PGA Tour, he noticed something different about the crowd at a tournament in Hartford, Connecticut. For the first time, no one was rooting against him. Putt, swing, sink, hole by hole. He kept advancing. On the final hole, Charlie positioned the golf club. But Charlie rushed the way he had long ago when someone was about to chase him away. Thunk! The ball fell down into a sand trap. It would be tough. It's not an impossible shot, though. To Charlie's surprise, he heard encouraging murmurs. The crowd wanted him to win. They believed he could win. Suddenly, Charlie believed too. He took out his wedge, closed his eyes, and swoosh! This time the ball flew high, fluttered, and landed softly 4 feet from the cup. He putted. Clink! The crowd roared and clapped for 15 minutes. Charlie wiped his eyes. He won $20,000. It felt like a million. Charlie did it. He had opened the door for others. Now Charlie played golf the way he dreamed since he was little, showing off his shots for all to see. And now it was possible for everyone who loved the game to play and hear cheers from the crowd. What a great book. I really want you guys to check this out sometime and read it with your moms and dads and whoever else is in your home. And in the back, there's a timeline. And it goes through his whole life, born in 1922, all the way down to in 2014. He was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama. And then sadly, all the way in 2015, Mr. Sifford dies February 3rd at the age of 92. So he got to live a long life and play lots of golf. Hope you enjoyed it.